Urban Indianz Podcast, Episode 19. Rest in peace, Chief Wahoo.
Coming to you straight out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and brought to you by the Sioux Empire Podcast Network. This is Urban Indianz Podcast. Educated and entertaining lives through the eyes of the modern-day Native American. Urban Indianz Podcast, hosted by everyone's favorite natives: Night Shield, Night Shizzle, Miss Shark Green Maximal, GP, Gorilla Pimp, and Candy Stands. You're listening to Urban Indianz Podcast.
All right, welcome to episode 19 of the Urban Indianz Podcast. I'm your host, Gabriel Nightshield, joined as always by Shar and Kathy.
Hey.
Levi, unfortunately, is sick today, so he is not here. But we are joined by legendary Sioux Falls MC, V the Noble One.
Yeah.
4-star, 16 bars.
Salute me when you see me.
Yeah. How's it going, man? Glad you could be on the show today.
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
If you want to maybe introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about the people that are listening, give us a little background or whatever.
Yeah, Bonnie Herrera, a.k.a. V the Noble One. A long-time Midwest MC, and I am also the co-founder of Think 3D Solutions, which is a consulting company, and we consult on organizational culture and leadership development.
Where did that come from, man? Like, because I've known you for probably damn near 20 years now or whatever, and like, all of a sudden, that came out of nowhere, or at least to me it did anyway. Like,
Yeah. Well, I've been talking about it for some years, but I have been in businesses, Fortune 500s for a while in various levels of leadership, and you just get to see what happens when people don't have effective cultures and people don't have developed leaders. And most people who are in leadership positions in a lot of these businesses or in the community or anything like that have not had any type of formal leadership training. Right, they just get put in charge of people, you know, which is kind of nuts considering how much work affects how people live. And so for me, it was just a situation to say that, who was out there trying to figure out ways for these businesses and organizations to function better, and especially with a voice that would speak to somebody like me, and there was nothing like that out there. So we knew that we needed to do something different. And on the flip side, these organizations and businesses are losing so much money, and most of them are so dysfunctional that it was a benefit for them as well. So it just made sense that we, turn it into a business.
And Tamian's a part of that also, right?
Yeah. So T the Lyricist from the Noblemen and Flame on Gospel, FOG as well, is a longtime friend and business partner in this endeavor. Yeah. So he keeps it a working business, because that's not what I do. Yeah, I do that part.
So do you guys offer like trainings then?
Yeah.
I've seen a few things pop up on Facebook that you guys do. So.
Yeah, so we do leadership training is probably one of the primary things that we do. We consult on the function of organizational culture and kind of what might work and what wouldn't work. But a lot of what we do is training. So we do retreats, workshops, in-office training, speaks. So we kind of do the whole nine. And it really just depends on how much a business or organization wants to allow us to operate. So some people, they want us to come in and do a basic training, or they want us to come in and do a speak. Other people, we come in and we touch every part of their business.
That's what's up. So is this something you guys started doing, like, sort of on the side, and then just decided to jump off the cliff and go fully into it, or it was
Yeah, but not very long. So we wrote a book about it, self-titled Think 3D, A Radical New Approach to Maximizing the Potential of Your Team. And we wrote that, and we had a plan of like 5 years before we would launch. And it just so happened that, particularly in the Midwest and in Sioux Falls where we're at, it was pressed up against work shortages, 2% unemployment rate. People were really starting to have to grapple with the idea of millennials and dealing with that whole thing and all of this other stuff. So like it got pushed forward a whole lot faster than what we had anticipated. It got accelerated quite a bit because a lot of people they're losing so much money and they just don't know how to really retain and attract these people.
Yeah.
And so the timing was just like perfect. And so we had started, and I was probably 8 months in, and then I just jumped, and then probably about 6 months after that, Tammy did.
That's what's up. Oh, so you were doing it like full time before?
Yeah. Because again, I'm the one that does the the networking and sales, marketing, all that type of stuff. So I'm the one that needed to be loose, and then for our situations, I had a leadership position, but Tammy was at a much higher level than I was, and so it was a little bit more for him to move out there, and he has the kids and the house and everything, and for me, it's just me and my wife, and the good thing about that is that she's been a stage wife for a long time, so like she's used to me having just crazy ideas and supporting that and being awesome about that, so it just made sense for me to go first.
That's
so this business, it's full time for you now.
Oh yeah,
all
more than full time. Like they say about entrepreneurs, the only people who will work 100 hours to keep from working 40.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's something you love to do.
Oh no! Honestly, I thank God every day. I get up and I get to do what I want, and when we are working, we get to affect people in a serious way. And the cool thing about it is that a lot of it for us was combining our vocation with our occupation. So a good chunk of what we do is philanthropic, or we work with nonprofits and things like that. So we set aside some time and we donate hours and money to those type of things, and we create programming. So leadership development program. One of the biggest things that we're doing right now, we just got fully funded for a grant for our first 16-week session of masterclass training for folks 18 to 30 with a minority focus, but open to people with various levels of leadership to put them through a 16-week intensive leadership development program. And our goal is to be able to do this and go down to the 8th grade level, initially focusing on young men of color and then expanding that to women and on and on. And also a prison program that we're working on as well, and then one for shelter folks and veterans. So we're hitting all of these areas, but for us to be able to get funded with grants and things like that so that we can put leaders into the streets. So our goal is by 2025 to have put 100 plus formally trained young people and young adults into the streets, and that's going to make a significant difference in terms of the community. Mm-hmm. Not just trying to find leaders, because we all know, particularly if you of any ethnic background, finding consensus leadership in any type of diverse population is really difficult to do. And they change all the time, and people don't agree on who's the leader. And so we said maybe it makes more sense to develop them instead of trying to find them. Mm-hmm. And so we want to develop those leaders. So by 2025, we want to put 100 leaders in there to participate in our community, business, and our politics. That have come up understanding not what to think, but how to think.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is cool.
That's a really innovative idea. That's nothing that I would ever come up with. You know what I mean? It's like.
And the need is there, so.
Yeah, it is, and you would come up with it. It's just the conversation. You know what I mean? And just figuring out how to make it happen. So for us, it just happens to align with our skill set. And I've been doing work in the community, for all my adult life, really. So I was perfectly comfortable with being behind the scenes. But when you get in a room with a lot of these people, one of the things that you realize is that I realized a little bit differently is that a lot of times when I was in the room talking about ethnic issues, I was in the room with all white people. Now, that's dope and sad at the same time. It's dope because there are people here who were financially set, who had careers that were set, that had none of the issues that we were talking about affected these people at all. Mm-hmm. And they were there working to come up with solutions, and I respected that and I appreciated that. But at the same time, I was sad that I was often the only person of color in the room, or one of 3 or 4 or whatever, and particularly black and young. That just didn't happen. And a lot of times they needed my insight to be able to understand how to communicate things to my population. And so it just seems so nuts that we don't have more people in these rooms. And so for me, it was like, it's not about what I could do personally, it's how many people can we put in these rooms so that when these ideas come out, they don't come out in somebody's mind what sounds good and then it's disrespectful as hell, or it's not effective. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a lot of times people don't intention to be as disrespectful as they are, but it's like, if you sat and gave it a little thought, it's like the H&M thing, right? Where I don't know if you saw it with they put the black kid in the hoodie with the coolest monkey. Now, that's not, is that affecting anybody's life in any type of real, no, right? But what it does is, it's just a symptom of, how was there any people of color in the room?
Yeah, that didn't, like, even, you know,
right.
It takes one person to look at that and be like, it's probably not a good idea.
That's the issue.
Fucking...
It's not even that you did it, because should we get to a point that if you sell that sweatshirt and a black kid wants to buy that sweatshirt, should he be able to wear that sweatshirt? Of course.
Yeah.
That's where we need to get. But who was in the room?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, who was in the room? If I had been in the room, time out.
Out of all their damn t-shirts, they're gonna pick that one.
Yeah, like, come on, bro. Like, come on.
Like,
you know?
We know your inventory is bigger.
Yeah, like, come on. Right? Or just flip-flop.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because they had two kids. The one was the survival expert.
Yeah.
And then the other one was monkey in the jungle. Just switch them. Problem solved.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, on a much bigger scale than that, on things that have way more consequence, there's nobody in the room to say, that's not gonna go, or that's insensitive, or did you know this, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, and so for me, it's just important to try to put people in the room so that people can represent themselves. You know, I think that's all. I'm a FUBU person all day, for us, by us, and I think anytime people want to represent themselves, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. Like any company, like I've worked in a ton of, you know, Fortune 500 companies and stuff, dude. I'm always like the only native there, or there's like one other native that like works in a completely different department that I don't know about or whatever. But yeah, and it's always fucking, you know, the only person there.
Right, and it's sad. And then when you contribute, you know, I one of the things that has helped me ascend, I should say, in the different levels that I'm in, is honestly being able to manage low expectations, right? You know what I mean? Because you say something that's, you know, that has some legitimacy to it. You know, oh my goodness, right? And if
all by himself.
Right. Now, if a 30-year-old white guy said the exact same thing, it might have been cool, but it wouldn't have been impressive.
Yeah.
And so part of it was like, oh, wow, well, this guy can really put together a couple sentences. You know what I mean? And again, it's not out of malice. It's a compliment to him, but it signifies a larger issue that's more systemic. And that's why having people in there. I straight up, I had a person say to me one time that they had, because we were arguing about natives. And the person literally said to me, I have not met a intelligent native. That's what they said to me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like, get out more. How many have you talked to? Like what kind of... outside of the fact that just in and of itself, it just sounds stupid and just doesn't make sense. Yeah. But the fact that you were saying it with any level of conviction is nuts. Yeah. It's absolutely nutty. And that's that is only because it's just a lack of representation.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely needs to be more people in the workforce. And for sure. That's sort of like what we want to do with this show is sort of like normalize Native Americans in society or whatever.
Which is nuts, even thinking about that, normalizing Native Americans in
I remember
America.
A friend of mine a few years back, they're like, you know, I've never seen a Native guy like dressed up before. I was like, really? Right. So I went to this huge national conference, and there's like over 1,000 natives at this thing. Mm-hmm. Everyone's dressed up. So I took my phone and started recording. I was like, well, you're not here, are you? Like, you know, you only see kind of like, you know, that tunnel vision. You like actually step out of your zone and get to know people.
Or what the media shows, and that's all they show is like the bums or the fucking, you know, people in the teepees and fucking.
Right, and that's it's no different. You know, like when there's a fire or something that happens, and it could be like 20 African American PhDs, professors in a parking lot, and they will find one person with a bathrobe and curlers in their hair, flip flops and whatever interview. Like, there's no other black people out here ever. It's like that's what you're trying to ever. You know what I mean? And so, you know, luckily for me, like again, it's just a matter of circumstance. We, you know, coming from Buffalo and having even in upstate New York, having a pretty decent native population in and around there, and then obviously being in South Dakota, But people outside of places like that have no idea about whatever. Where people, even when we moved here, they thought like it was like that just everybody was rolling around in covered wagons and all this other stuff. Like they're like, y'all got stoplights? You know what I mean? And again, it's just a flat out matter of not knowing. And it's not just specific to ethnic situations, right? Because as Americans, we think that nothing happens outside of America.
Yeah.
In general, and everything that's the best is here, and everything that was invented here, and all of that type of stuff. And it's just plain ignorance. And so I've long since, stopped just being mad about it and just saying, how do we actually address it? Like, I'll let other people, Twitter back and forth.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, though, right there. That's a lot, just, like, actually doing it and going forward with, something you want to do and making that decision. I feel like since I've been an adult and really the past few years, I've really reflected that a lot, like, stepping out of your shell to like be that person to do those things, because that's hard too.
It is.
Have you found that to be easy, like finding your voice and like being out there like that?
Well, for me, that part has been easy. I've always had my voice, and I was just really blessed with having people in my life that just not only let me speak, but required me to. Actually, it's a dope story. So I used to be the chairman of the Human Relations Commission for the city, and I did a piece on this one time. It's called "Not Asking for Permission," and it was interesting because so the Human Relations Commission has some enforcement power, and so it deals with discrimination of things that are not against the city or the state, right? And so this person was having issues with this particular establishment that was not denying people entry for various things that seem frivolous. And so it gets investigated, we take a look at it, and then different things can happen. But one of them is mediation. And that's what this person elected to do. They didn't want any money. They didn't want to make a whole deal about it. They just wanted the people in there to explain their policies and to get an apology, essentially. And so the people come in, we're having this interaction, and I'm the chair, and I'm in there with the manager that's through the city's attorney's office. A great gentleman who passed away from cancer by the name of Gary Cowell. And we were in this meeting, and the gentleman that we were talking to kept kind of talking past me to him, like, well, I think this, and this. And after like 10, 15 minutes of this, he stops him and he says, gentlemen, just so we get this understanding, this is Von Herrera. He's the chairman of the Human Relations Commission. This is his meeting. This is who you should be addressing your responses to,
Yeah.
And then he leans over to me and he's like, take control of your meeting. And it was like, and it was like, gone. I was gone. You know what I mean? Because from then on, if I'm in here, I'm in here. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't flattered to be in the room anymore. I wasn't like, oh great, they invited me. It wasn't like that. It was any room that I was in, and I had some of that before, but it wasn't full max. After that, any room I'm in the room. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna talk as much as I feel like I need to talk. I'm gonna do something, and that changed my whole perspective. And it was a white man that encouraged me to do it. And so you need those type of situations sometimes to tell people like, it's not good enough for you to have ideas. It's not good enough for you to do whatever. Like you, not only should you be required to speak, but you should be required to speak well. You should be able to articulate your ideas for effectiveness, not for feeling. By nature, particularly as minorities, we talk so much in feeling because there's so much feeling, right? There's so much hurt and pain and scars and all that. That anytime we talk is with feeling, and not enough with effectiveness. At the end of the day, like most of the people that I'm dealing with, I could care less how they feel about me individually. I care about how people feel about me, not how they think about me. Most people can't even control how they think about themselves. So I don't care about what people think about me. So for me, it's about what can I say, how can I say it to make you get it, to drive you to action, to do something. That's it and that's all. Everything else is cosmetic for me. You know what I mean? And I remember watching Oprah, and they had like Nelly on and Common, and they were talking about rap and everything, and bitches and hoes and this type of thing, and using all this verbiage. And Oprah says, so they were talking about all the reasons why rap has different notes in it, and Oprah made the comment was like, so do we need to solve crime and hunger and broken families or whatever in the hood to get y'all to stop calling women bitches. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, yeah, you do, because so much of the dialogue, so much of the behavior is born of the circumstances, right? And at the end of the day, what we call each other is superficial in comparison to the circumstances. You know what I mean? If you change the circumstances, you change people's conversation. I got older, I got a different professional job, I got to do whatever, I got a wife, I got blah, blah. I don't call women bitches a whole lot. You know what I mean? Like, my circumstances changed.
Yeah.
And so did matter of fact, I got a line in one of my rhymes. It's like, my wife hold me down while I'm out here getting rich. I love my bitch so much that I don't call her my bitch. And that's a mental switch that I had to say as I grew and matured. And so for me, it's not even about getting the cosmetic stuff. It's about how do we actually change people's circumstances, and then all that other stuff will take care of itself. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's what's up. I'm glad you brought up the hip hop stuff. You know,
Yeah.
You've been around forever. Like we and you started around the same time.
Yeah.
I think you guys had an album out before I did. I think. Well, the Noblemen did.
Yeah. And I came a little bit later. I was working on my solo with half and half at the time.
Yeah. Can you tell like a little bit about like the history with hip hop or whatever? So.
Yeah. Well, it's literally like, all right, day one. That's basically like that's basically how it started, because at the time it was Night Shield. It was Nobleman. And then it was Slam Hound and Urban Ills, which later became what we know as Soul Crate. And at the time, there wasn't anything happening. I was with a label called Half and Half, which strangely enough had one of the top 10 studios in the nation here that people didn't even really know about. It was a beautiful studio. And we had started and we were making music, and we couldn't, nobody would let us play anywhere and all that type of stuff. We were doing shows out at the Ramcoda and the Oaks and all that stuff. We were going into these shows knowing that we were going to lose $1,000 because, you got these great big old rooms and we had to pay for everything and double the security and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we started making gains there, and then us, we were some of the first groups to actually have CDs, like jewel case, wrapped,
like physical product,
real
like
product,
legit.
Like I got people that have been rapping nearly as long as we have, and they still haven't put out a physical album. You know what I mean? So it was a feat at the time, and we were the first people with websites and things like that. It's funny. You could go back on the Wayback Machine, which is like a Smithsonian archive of the internet essentially. Mm-hmm. And you can go in and put in and pull up nightshield.net and
really?
.net. So you could go see some pages
shit.
for those.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Go check that out.
I was looking at it the other day. It's called the Wayback Machine. So like if there's a website that wasn't there anymore, this takes snapshots every so often of essentially the internet. Mm-hmm. And so almost every website you could think of, it has like some snapshots of there. So I went back and looked at both of ours. I was like, what are we doing? Actually, I gotta segue. When your man's, I don't know if you ever talked about this, when your man's was doing jacking your website.
Oh yeah. The bite shield shit.
Oh my gosh. That was some of the best stuff ever.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, that was fucking hilarious.
The diss saga. But and then we were happening at the same time, and all that energy was happening, and so I was doing my thing, and the Noblemen were doing their first piece of it, and then we kind of bumped together. Keystone left the Noblemen, and then I kind of jumped in there, and did that a little bit differently. And I mean, we were having in the streets for a long time, and we were doing pretty well. We probably moved about 50,000 albums overall through all of the different albums and our different platforms, and then later developed Flame On Entertainment, and which brought like your Trey Lanes and that type of thing. So we've been going for a while. Now I'm in my old man flow, so I got like a live band, like a 9-piece live band and stuff like that. And so I no more sleeping on couches or anything like that. So
yeah.
But I mean it was it was a really long road, and when we were going through all of these things, like we were getting no action. I mean, like, and it was the reverse. It wasn't even like it was neutral. It was like there were people trying to stop us, you know, from doing what it was that we were doing. So we had to do everything by ourselves, and that's a hustle that a lot of people just do not have. And for me, the game is the same in all of them. I don't care if you selling drugs, selling CDs. I don't care if you whatever. The hustle is the same. I don't care if you a CEO or whatever. The hustle is the same. And we were out on the loop with a fifth of E&J in a backpack, which was a problem. Selling CDs to the point that they thought we were slinging crack out there.
Yeah.
We were selling CDs. We would go to Okoboji, sell CDs. South Beach and sell CDs. I mean, we was going wherever. The flyers and all that. We did everything like that, and that was our identity. And that's why, like, for me, transitioning to other things is not difficult at all. We were making stuff happen with no budgets, like nothing. You know what I mean?
We had Wes on a couple shows ago, and he said that like Soul Crate was like his like college degree. Like
For
that's
sure.
how he learned like to do everything else was through the hustle of hip hop.
For sure.
And it was like a
he kind of compared it to the coffee thing.
yeah.
There's nothing that's
It's the same process.
Yeah, same process. Same process. And at the end of the day, there's a confidence in it, especially being an adult in this world right now, where there's no situation where I go into where I don't feel like I can eat somebody's lunch. You know what I'm saying? There's just not a scenario where I don't feel that way. Partly because, especially for me, because I was the battle guy out of our group. You know what I mean? So like, if you had issues with noblemen, like you had to come see me. So there was always, and back then it was a different thing. It was like Highlander. Most people won't get that reference, but like in Highlander was a show where like they were immortal and you cut off somebody's head and you took their power. So if you wanted somebody fan base, you had to go to where they were at, who the best, eat their lunch, and then you took over with their situation. So I come from that environment where it's competitive for real, where you grind for real, where you have to physically touch and look at people and look them in the eye and convince people that there's something in this wrapped CD. So that fueled a lot of what I do. So in the corporate world and in the community philanthropy world, a lot of that stuff is easy for me because we did it the hard way.
Yeah, and you're one of like the people like. Fuck, I'm always amazed, like, when we're in the studio, we'll be like, fuck, is Vonnie even ready? Like, you'd be, like, fucking passed out on the couch, sleep. Like, yo, man, get up and fucking do your verse. And you don't have any paper or nothing. And just like, all right, and get in there and just drop, like, the dope at 16. And like, what the fuck, man? You were sleeping, like, 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like,
I got this weird thing that, so I can kind of, I could be engaged. Right, like right now, I could be talking and I could be writing a verse right now. And part of that was... Actually, when I was with Half and Half, I would do shows and I was a low man in the totem pole. I was young. Nobody was really giving me energy, so I was getting throwaway stuff. So they would make me write a whole bunch of stuff, really to see if I would go away. You know what I mean? And then we would go to perform a show, and it would be like in Worthington or something like that, like at 45 minutes, an hour away. They'd give me the beat beforehand, and I would have to write it in the car and then perform it. So when you got to write it and perform it in like an hour and a half, you know what I mean? Like... It just helped me realize that I had this particular ability, and I could be almost fully out and write. I just just had a beat on repeat. So it was weird for me because when I used to try to write, it actually was more difficult for me because I felt constrained. I could never really get the flow, and I was a delivery person. So for me, the delivery was as important as what I was saying, and so I developed that skill, and it comes in handy actually. Because even when we be battling, I could write like 8 bars while you doing whatever you doing. Yeah. So it was gonna come out sounding super clean, and that's why for me, still to this day, the best compliment you can get when you freestyling is that people accuse you of writing it.
Yeah, I always wanted to see the battle between you and Maniac. That's the battle I always wanted to see.
Actually, that one we had to burn some tape from that one that should have happened, and that's when I really lost my taste for battling. We was having a battle that we used to do, and that's the other thing too.
I missed that when you guys used to do that.
Rap Wars.
Where was that at?
At Booney's basement.
Yeah.
Oh,
Rap Wars was dope, man.
Yeah.
That was like the first couple.
That was awesome. Why did you guys stop doing that?
Well, for me, it was like the quality was really difficult to maintain. They just weren't enough.
You can't have the same person.
Yeah.
The same person.
Yeah.
and what would normally be cool on a national sense is not cool on a local sense. And what I mean by that is that on a national sense, you want to develop characters that keep bumping into each other so you can create rivalries and people get with each other or whatever. Like, that's not super cool when you in a town like this, you know what I'm saying? To create those type of, and where we really need all hands on deck, and you create that energy. And you got nice guys like Wes or whatever that would win and feel bad, you know what I mean? And then you know, my goal was to have it in a classic way. So we had a table in between people, no beat, and you just had to rhyme, and we really did it like that. Now the problem is when I came up, I was going against my man ADAP, and that was the one. That was supposed to be the one because Wes was in it, Maniac was in it, and I was in it. So it was going to be one of us that was going to bang. So it was set up to be perfect. And I get in there with ADAP, and the nastiest, most racist, off the wall, terrible things for lines were in my head. But it's my dude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting there like trying to swipe through line like, no, we can't use that one. We can't use that one. We can't use, my brain just went and that never happens to me. Right? That never happens to me. And I remember that moment where I turned and looked at the judges like, help. I was like
froze up. I was standing there. I think I was the guy that counted the seconds or whatever, and I'm just standing there like, what the fuck, man? Like, are you gonna go or what?
I had never experienced it. Like my brain literally shut down. I never experienced it before, and I was just like, is this what this is? You know, and it was terrible. And so then it was like a thing where for me, I didn't enjoy it as much anymore because I didn't want to battle people that I knew, especially in that way, because battling went away from bars and went into jokes. You know, basically. I'm talking about people's moms and all that other type of stuff, and you know, and obviously sometimes that can go south. And but again, I don't mind doing that to a stranger or whoever. Like, I don't care, you know. But when it's my people's, like I didn't feel good about that. So I lost my taste a little bit for battling that way. But yeah, we did Rap Wars, which was a big one. Who Got Next, which was a big one. So Nico, that's how he jumped off really primarily in that one. And we did that. I'm big on empowerment. I'm really big on empowerment. And so that one we did where we had 3 artists and they would kind of compete. And then the winner would receive half of the door of the next one. And so that was cool because, you know, some of these people for their first shows were getting paid like a G or more, which, especially at that time, was a ton. Still a lot. But it was a ton at that time. And so being able to pay artists, being able to show them what their worth was and how much you can make if you do it, and being willing to split the pot was really big for me. And so we did these type of series. So Rap Wars, Who Got Next, all those type of things were big. And that was when the basement would be put. The energy was just...
I missed that
It
spot.
was magical.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have went to one.
Yeah, you probably did.
Yeah.
You would remember if you did.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. Woof. It was such a good time, and it's hard to get that energy back. You got people who their second show was at the district. Mm-hmm. And most people don't know how to perform on that type of stage, much less, you know, a small stage when it's just you and the audience, and that energy is palpable. You know, if you don't understand, and that's why, like, now, like, you know, speaking in front of the camera or doing speaks that's nothing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We were, and then for Night Shield and us, I mean, we were doing major opens. So, you know, Too Short, Flow Rap, you name it. Anybody that came through this region, you know, we were probably opening for. So once you were in front of 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people talking to 60 people for a business meeting is a joke. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, there's no nerves with that. So yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy shit.
You miss being on stage?
I mean, I still am what I want to be,
Yeah.
so I still get to do that, and I mean, I that's my sanctuary. I love it. I love it more than anything because that one is pure. Because I'm an extrovert in the sense that I do that type of stuff. I'm not necessarily in the crowd. I don't like people all in my bubble like that. So I'm normally not and that type of thing. So for me, I'm in the green room or I'm over wherever. So for a person, for me that has as high of opinion of myself as I do, I have a pretty high self-esteem. I'm not really a super accolades person. Like, I'm not really a super look at me type person for the most part. Anybody that actually knows me, knows I do 5 times more than what people see. I just don't really talk about it because whatever. But on the stage, like, it's pure because it's like no middleman. You know what I mean? It's you and an audience, and you can make them feel things and go through things, and they can make you feel things, and then you up there with your band or DJ or hype man or whatever, and it's pure. And that's real emotion. When we sitting out there and we seeing all of these people from all of these backgrounds singing the same words to the song, feeling the same emotion at the same time, that really will do more to heal the world than any policy or procedure. I tell people all the time, like, other countries don't want our government. They want our culture. They just know to have our culture, you gotta have some semblance of our government. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got people out there who are in other countries that you got the best breakers in the world in Asia. Some of the best soul singers are white girls from Wales. Some of the best graffiti artists are, in Europe. You know what I mean? Like, that has changed the world more than anything. Like, we don't want to acknowledge that. But it's not like anybody was sitting around in any of these countries like, we really want democracy. No, they want Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, they want the culture. They want MTV. They wanted to see what people were doing because it was a language that everybody spoke, that was inclusive, that didn't box anybody out. And so to contribute to that and have that and to be able to interact with people that way, like, that's my sanctuary. That's where I love to be. You know?
That's what's up. To flip it around a little bit here, sort of talk about Chief Wahoo and the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah.
Cleveland Indians retiring Chief Wahoo after next year, right? 2019.
Yeah, next year. Yeah.
So they're still going to have it this year, right? 2018.
Right.
So. Now, I guess I probably should have researched this a little bit better.
There's your rocket.
Oh, yeah. I got the logo, and I got this fucking...
Oh, yeah, you gotta blast that.
the Caucasians fucking...
Yeah.
Good.
But, yeah, fucking... I don't know, like, so they're keeping the name, right? The Cleveland Indians.
I think that's right.
No, my understanding is that they're
Yeah.
keeping the name.
And then, so what? They're just gonna go with like the C logo or something like that, or like?
I don't know.
I see. You know what? I'm curious to see what they do, though. I think it'd be a great opportunity for them to do something that's modern and respectful.
Yeah.
That I think it could change the conversation from being to or not to, but more of this would actually honor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Natives. That's what I hope they do.
Yeah.
Versus just doing some lame watered down. So it's not like what it actually is. You know what I'm saying?
There was that rumor a couple weeks ago where that the Redskins they changed their name to the Red Hawks or whatever. Did you guys see that on Facebook?
Yeah.
Like, a bunch of people start posting that
Dan
shit.
Schneider ain't have that.
Yeah, I knew that shit. Like, as soon as I started seeing, like, that was a bunch of people posting it, but then I was looking at, like, all the websites, and it was, like, fucking sites I never heard of or
Right.
whatever. And
Right.
like,
I always tell people if you put a link on my page that has your political affiliation in the website,
yeah.
or whatever your cause is in the website, I'm automatically disregarding that.
Yeah, I fucking wish people would take more time to at least look at the source.
Or
before
even
they
the
share.
comments. Some of the,
Yeah.
you just read the comments and everybody's like, oh,
Right.
Yeah,
So-
it takes
post the real shit or whatever.
2 seconds to go
Yeah.
to like ESPN, because if they did change their name, the shit would be on ESPN. Like,
Or
first,
even
Right.
Redskins or WashingtonRedskins.com or something
But
like
if
that.
it's like, yo, conservativepatriots.com or liberal or whatever, I
I
like,
see the liberal.
yeah, automatically like, nope, I'm not even paying attention to it.
We have a running gag in my office where I work where I say that one of these days I'm going to buy ChristianLibertyPatriot.us and just turn it into like an Alex Jones parody.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Do that, please.
yeah, I don't know. I think was that something that like ever bothered you guys as far as like having the name the Cleveland Indians or whatever?
I guess it's something like you don't think about when you're young a whole lot. You always see teenagers rocking it. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It
But
never,
as you
it
get
never
older,
bothered me.
as you get
Yeah.
older, you get that understanding and you have that respect for your elders, and it's just like that's something they really don't want to see. And so
Yeah.
then everyone's gonna back them up, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I would always buy like the hats or whatever, just because like that was us, like that was sort of
Exactly.
like
I thought it was
That's
cool,
us being
you
able
know.
to represent ourselves.
And then
but-
one thing that I guess that makes the elders mad, or people that don't like it, is that like when they are playing somebody else, they're like murdering the Indians or whatever.
Yeah,
That comes with territory.
I mean,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah, they hanging the
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
do whatever.
Yeah.
They always
Yeah.
doing that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, that imagery is now always out there. For me, I think it's just a matter of representation. And I just, you know, you never know what the effects of that can be, and how long it takes to undo those effects. You know what I mean? And like with anything, like there was so much of taking whatever you could get, because that was the same thing with black culture. And black culture is probably the most dominant ethnic culture, you know, for a lot of different reasons. But it you know, to protect it, to protect your culture, and to keep it from being, you know, pillaged and sucked dry, you do got to be kind of hardcore with it. At the same time, it also prevents it from being consumed by the general population, which keeps you from being in the consciousness of the general population. So at the same time, you holding on to this thing, but people don't care about it or are not connected to it because they don't have any relationship to it. So it's good to have a thing, but that's not the best representation of that thing. And it maybe it had its time at one point in time, but it's not no more. And it could be done better.
I can see it like from both ways. Is like, you know, people disregard Native Americans as a culture so much to the point where, you know, it's like a sports team or whatever, like the same as like a leprechaun or a fucking a vampire or something. It's like, no, we're a real fucking people. Like we're not like
We're
fucking
still here.
You know?
Yeah, right. Like it's not like it's not like a throwback.
Yeah.
Like, no, like we really
Yeah.
still out here operating.
There's not real leprechauns, but there are real Native Americans.
Yeah, it's not a
like-
mystical
Yeah.
like creature. Or
Yeah, and
something.
I think that's like the strongest point.
Yeah.
Of that. Yeah.
It's that always I can definitely see it from that point of view, and like how people get so upset about it. But I think as far as like natives as a culture, there's much bigger problems to tackle.
Right.
Than fucking like if you were gonna list the top, you know, Native American issues to deal with, mascots would
not
be
make
very
it.
low
Yeah.
on the totem pole.
Nah, super low. But again, that's the paradox of it. That's the hard part of it, right? Because for so many, speaking from African Americans, for so many young black young people, especially that came up when I came up or even before, the danger with some of these things is that you know, white people will watch TV and have these perceptions about what young black men were and all these other type of things. But what people don't really think about is that I watch the same TV that they watch. So the problem is that I start thinking that this is what young black people. That's far more dangerous than them thinking it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Is when you think, you know, you don't belong in places or you don't have that type of representation. So it's important in the sense that, again, when we go back to when you have the leaders to address those really heavy problems, if they don't have the identity and connection to it because they haven't had representation in popular culture, and they're operating under the same BS bias and stereotypes as the people that they combating, you know, it's hard to fix those problems.
Yeah.
So, like, in the scheme of things, it don't matter. But in the length of things, it do matter. Like, what would black people be like without the Cosby Show? Is the Cosby Show super important in terms of the historical injustices that are happening to black people? No. But did it make a lot of generations of black people feel like they could be doctors and lawyers and go to college and have fun? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that affected a lot of that other type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's always the balance for me where it's nothing I'm going super trip on, but that's why for me everything is a scale. Everything is you know that Martin Luther King wouldn't have been as effective without Malcolm X. You know what I mean? So I try not to trip on people who get on that type of stuff, like because somebody needs to be on that.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to be on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's more where my thing is at versus where I used to be years ago, where I would just be like, "That's so stupid. Why are you worried about that? We need to be worried about this. Worry about that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
worried
that's
about
super
that.
important too because, like, people think like, oh, because you're native, you got to be doing this, and this.
Right.
And really, it's like everyone has their own groove, like something that they're good at, something that they're conquering,
Right.
their own little piece of whatever is important to them. And so, yeah, like I don't know who pushed like for the whole mascot. Do you know?
I don't know where it originated from. Like,
I mean, I'm sure there's like
I'm sure
There has
there's
to be a group
a
of
million
people
fucking
that-
people.
Yeah.
Well, I know back in the 90s, earlier 90s, they were making a big fuss about it. Like AIM was.
Yeah, it's been
Yeah.
on and off for
Yeah,
years, but
yeah.
to actually see it's like come this far.
I think I never really had a big issue with the fucking Indians, but I think the Redskins is like fucked up. Like
Yeah.
that's the fucked up one, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the Indians is, I mean, sure, but I mean, I think the Redskins is a much worse name than the fucking Indians.
Well, and just the team in general is, I believe it was the last NFL team to integrate. And so there's a legacy of whatever there. Dan Snyder may not represent that. He might be trying to protect the brand legacy. But there's a legacy with that team in particular.
Yeah.
With some of that stuff that I think people gotta consider and think about. And then you gotta ask yourself, like, again, it's so interesting to me with even the conversation is I get standing firm and not wanting to change various things. I get everybody's right to be able to say, nah, I'm not doing that because I don't have to. I respect everybody's right to do that, but I think it's always interesting that when people are talking about not changing something like that because they don't want to affect the legacy of a 50-year-old football team.
Yeah.
But they're undermining the legacy of the Native people.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I just think that's interesting. That we hold one higher than whatever. The trademark for this is higher than the actual imagery that you putting out there about people and what they feel comfortable saying. That said, though, to your point, I think it's probably even from an outside looking in, what Natives is that so many people don't think about it consciously, that they don't even assign that, they don't even connect it to Natives really.
Yeah.
Why does it offend you, like the Redskins?
The Redskins, I don't know. It just seems like wouldn't say it like super offends me, but it's just
Makes
that's
you
what.
comfortable.
Yeah, they just fucking. That's just like a slang term or like a disrespectful term for Native Americans or whatever. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, like
You don't
I
have
don't
a
care.
white skins team
Yeah,
or a
or-
black skins team.
or
It's like
smear
they had a
suckers.
team called the Horse Blankets or some shit like that. Like, so, like, I don't know. That seems fucked up.
Yeah.
Like again,
Yeah.
again, it was appropriate at one point in time to say Negro baseball or Negro whatever.
Yeah.
My walk, and I got throwback stuff of Negro leagues to honor the Negro leagues. You come out 2018 with any Negro whatever, we gonna have a problem. We gonna have a problem. And I have the luxury of having a different level of consciousness because I don't have to deal with some of the stuff.
See, and I think that's what's different about our generation. We were there to be like in the super racist era,
Yeah.
and now like everything's like
Now it's
everyone's
coming back. The super
butthurt.
racist era is coming back.
Right.
But you can't say like there's a lot of things you can't say now.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say a few of them, but
Right.
it's not.
But it is and it's different though. You know what I'm saying? Like again, am I really tripping off of a 16-year-old white kid wearing cornrows? Like, you're appropriate, not gonna do your thing, player, because at the end of the day, whatever connect with you. You know what I'm saying?
One thing I don't like is when they dress up for Halloween
Oh yeah.
as
Oh yeah.
like you got the chicks just wearing the war bonnets. Like,
It's fucking
And it's
crazy.
a sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that.
first of all, when
I
they don't
seen
wear
one
war
just
bonnets-
this Halloween. I Snapchatted it, and
Yeah.
I made sure she knew because my flashlight was on. And I was just like sitting there like laughing, and I'm just like,
It's crazy that
I ain't
people
gonna
still
say-
do that, knowing that that
in South
people
Dakota.
don't like that. Yeah.
and we've
it's
talked about this on the show before.
like why the
but-
fuck do they even sell those outfits? Or who's
They're
like
like $60 too. Like
Bro,
what? Like,
blackface. Every time I'm like, what's the upside?
yeah.
What's the upside?
Yeah.
Like, who? First of all, who on blackface has won like a costume contest? What is the upside? What are you getting
Yeah.
out of doing this compared to
Yeah.
the funk you're gonna get? I just don't even understand where people's minds are at with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you just really wanted to do this,
Yeah.
you know?
Like knowing too. I mean, because people
Yeah.
ain't that damn dumb. Like.
Right. It ain't
They
no, that's what I'm
know.
saying.
Mhm.
It's like when people ask me, well, why don't I get to say the N-word? It's like, do you want to? Go ahead. Let it rip. They're like, well,
Oh,
no.
you're like-
They're like, well, no, I'm not saying that. I would. Then I don't understand what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, I'm with you on that one.
It's crazy. You know what? I just watched the movie Hostels the other day.
I
with
didn't.
the-
How
It's
haven't
good.
watched it either.
It's got Wes
I mean, don't
Studi
ruin it
and
for me or
Adam
anything, but
Beach, Christian
will.
Bale.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. I would recommend going and watch it.
yeah.
It's a 2.5 hour movie, I heard. So
Yeah.
I'm gotta be like prepared.
It's like fucking like it's a western, but
yeah.
Did it like make you angry or anything?
Someone was saying there wasn't enough violence in it. I was like, what?
no, there's violence in it,
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
weird.
There's motherfuckers getting scalped and shit in there.
Oh,
That's real.
But yeah, yeah.
That's real.
It's like I think it was the Comanche in there that were like the villains or whatever. Like it opens up harsh as fuck. Like when you watch it, like the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
There's Squall and
Oh man, yeah. It like the natives are. I was like, kill those fucking Indians, fuck! Like fucking
What
killing
the fuck?
babies and like all this
Oh,
shit. It's
shit, really?
fucked up, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then I just watched Wind River yesterday too. Finally, like way later.
Yeah,
Have
like
you seen
3
that?
months
Getting,
later.
I haven't either.
Oh,
It's at
that's
Red
good.
Box.
Mm.
It's like a tearjerker
Getting
for
all-
sure.
Native up or what?
Yeah, yeah. Well, after I watched Hostels, I felt guilty. I was like, "Fuck, how have I not watched Wind River yet?"
So Wind River, is kind of give you a little background. That's about like the oil boom, and all the oil booms are super close to reservations, and so it's about a girl who gets kind of raped and a bunch of stuff all in one kind of. But it's
She doesn't get kind of raped.
I mean,
She
yeah.
definitely
I was like,
She
how do you?
I don't know why I said that in
She
front of
definitely
me
gets
because I didn't want to
raped
say it.
and
but-
fucking.
Another thing we want to talk about is that chick in court or whatever that said the girl wasn't even,
Oh,
you know,
Savannah
dead.
Grayland.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. That's
that is
fucking
horrible.
terrible.
I don't know. Did you know about
She
that
got
case?
life.
No.
What was her name?
Savannah Grayland.
Yeah.
I mean the other.
Oh, I don't know
Some
who.
Cruz. I don't know
Yeah.
her first name,
That was
but
her last name.
Up
Yeah, they
in
kinda-
Fargo.
she finally got sentenced. So they found her, a woman, young Native woman, went missing in Fargo. She was missing for like what, a week?
Yeah.
Then they found her body. She was pregnant, 8 months pregnant.
Man.
Yeah, and so they ended up finding the upstairs neighbors had her baby, but she was. had
And that was
still
like 3 days after.
her body was found. Or
No,
No,
it was
no,
before.
her
It was
body.
before
yeah.
they found the baby. They like this girl got abducted. The upstairs neighbors like were suspicious or whatever, being they were being.
They went and got her and asked her to model some clothes or something. That's what it was,
cut
right?
the baby out of her while she was still alive, and dumped her body like in the fucking.
River Red.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. Some
Oh
river.
man.
Yeah. This was like when was that? Back in like October or something like that.
No, it was like in August because I remember it was right before my trip.
Oh.
The woman was Brooke Cruz.
Brooke Cruz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she got life, didn't she?
Yeah, without possibility of parole.
Oh yeah.
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 Like
But
What
it's
happened
like,
to
do
the
they
guy?
not have the death penalty there or something?
I don't think so.
No, they don't.
Not in North Dakota?
No, a lot of
Oh,
people
William
were
Hone.
wanting
I'm,
it.
I'm reading here. Let's see.
But technically, they found her body in Minnesota. So some people are arguing like, why can't they charge her and give her the death penalty going under Minnesota? But I guess it's like where the,
The crime
took
happened,
place,
yeah.
which would have been North
I mean,
Dakota.
outside of the expense, nah, you got to sit with that one. I actually prefer that type of thing. I think you got to sit with that whole thing.
She will not last. She will not. I
She'll
mean,
probably kill herself.
well,
or
she'll
something.
get killed for
Yeah.
sure. Probably
Yeah.
in fucking jail.
Yeah, you got to. I think you.
Especially if there's any native chicks in there.
Oh, you know there is.
Yeah, I think you. Yeah, I think you.
I
gotta
seen
sit
so
with that.
someone
That's
the
crazy.
first time I read the article, I seen a white guy had said like, oh, drop her off on the reservation and then she'll get her justice. And so people are going back and forth on
Yeah.
like, what are you trying to say? Like all natives are savage, like we're murderers or something
Yeah,
like that. So there's like
To
this
that
long
girl,
combo.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
that was like one of the ones where like, you ain't winning it.
Yeah.
Just bail.
I'm
No, this-
savage when I want to be. Not
Yeah,
always.
there's not a win in
No.
that
No.
for you.
What a fucking nightmare though. Like who the fuck? You're cutting a lot. Like as you're doing this, like
I can't
the
even.
woman is still alive,
How
and you're
crazy
cutting a
are you
baby
in
out
your
from
head?
her stomach.
Some like Mongols shit.
Man,
And,
But
the,
again, though-
and the boyfriend, is he that fucking crazy too? Is he that afraid of his woman? Or
I mean, he knew about
what
all
the
that.
hell?
I'm guessing he lived with her. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Was
you're
he
just
there
as
helping?
guilty, man.
But even that though, that's why I say like the conversation for a lot of this stuff has to change. You know what I mean? We've always thought in the crime and punishment lens, particularly with people of color. And at the end of the day, the most heinous shit is not done by people who are operating
Right.
in the same space. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? For me, it's more about how do you how do you recognize that earlier, and how do you, you know, address those things earlier? Because for me, I'm all about stuff not happening, not necessarily what we do to people after it happened. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, what is fair?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
I mean, like, you know, her life, she don't have a life. Her daughter will never have a mother. Like,
right.
Those are things you can't ever.
How do you? You can't get backs with that. Like,
can you imagine like being that kid? Like, you're
when you grow up.
Yeah, like you're 8 years old, or you're, you know, whenever, and your fucking dad has to tell you like how you were fucking born.
Right.
In just this fucking nightmare.
And then, oh man.
That's heavy, man.
That's another thing they stole from him, you know, being there while his child's born.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, and that was his first kid, right?
Yeah. So he's like full-time dad now, you know what I mean? And and then they had pictures of the courtroom. I couldn't even like look at those, man.
Yeah.
It was
just like
right. Yeah, it would be going down in a major way. I don't know how I would be able to. To deal.
So.
Rough stuff, man.
That's crazy. And that's just like fucking like 3 hours north of us. It's like not even that far away.
I know my uncle lives there, so it's just like he went to like the candlelight vigil and you know he attended everything that they had for the public, but man.
Which one was it? Was it Bismarck?
Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even that far away. It's crazy. I don't know.
Scary.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that, and that's what. Yeah, and like I said, that's why like. For me, socially, just where we at is right now it's like that, where you can hear somebody absolutely having a knockdown, drag out in the store, and it's like, well, that's not my business. You know what I'm saying? And we have so many situations in the community where it's garage up, garage down, and everybody doing their own thing, that you could be, you know, 3 spots down from somebody that's a serial killer, and not even, we don't really connect with each other. We don't communicate. We don't try to understand each other, any of those type of things. Because after something happens, people's like, oh no, I didn't see any of the signs.
Right. And when you look at Sioux Falls, the R rates here, man, it's all domestic violence. So I'm sure like things had been happening. Neighbors probably heard things like, you know,
right
before that one incident.
It's crazy.
Well, I'm sure they called the cops so many times that it just became irrelevant, kind of, to them.
Yeah, we got Maniac and Siouxpernatural calling in here pretty soon, hopefully. I see.
He sounds so hopeless.
I mean, it was like I'm one of them.
He saw my message, so I'm assuming he's gonna call. But yeah, we'll be talking to him here in a little bit. Is anybody talking on Facebook? Anybody saying anything or?
Let's see. Chesty was just on here saying "sick bastards." Yeah, that's about it. Levi is on there saying hi.
He also said you can tell he is used to eating other people's lunch.
I don't think
That's
those
what you were
people
talking
but listen,
about.
I'll put hands on somebody that I think those people are the scourges of the earth. I put up a post not too long ago about how I felt about people who eat other people's lunches. Like, I think that at work, those people should be tarred and feathered and all of that. I mean, like, what type of person
Like,
does
why would
something
you
like
even
that?
do that?
I had a dude at the job. He came in. He had lunch. His lunch was 2 raw hot dogs in a Ziploc and like a half-eaten box of chicken fried rice, and somebody got him for it. And I just said to myself, like, first of all, like, number one, if you ever in that type of situation, holler at me. I got a couple dollars for you.
Yeah.
Like, if it's just that deep to where you gonna go in there. But what type of person does it? And it's doubly disrespectful. Outside of the fact that you a thief, you was not concerned about what I was going to eat for lunch.
Yeah.
And that I got a problem with.
You could have taken one of the hot dogs.
One of the hot dogs. You took both of the hot dogs and the half eaten.
Like, imagine like what they like. I don't know.
Like, what's going through your mind? And for me, I eat my chicken fried rice out of the container. So if the container's in there, there's all types of mouth kernels that I'm throwing back in there. And you just, it's not that deep.
Yeah.
It's not that deep. So yeah. So I got a problem with people who steal people's lunches at work.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I don't know. If it's some pizza, I'll take it. But
you know what I mean?
I don't know, still.
no, yeah.
First of all, let me run up on you. Let me walk in.
Right, and you
See you.
those are my hot dogs. Like,
No,
We're gonna have a
drag out fight and play
It's
loud.
going down in the town.
Like I thought those things like didn't even happen anymore. And then my coworker, she moved to Atlanta. She works at CDC out there, and she just recently, you know, posted like someone took her lunch, and she's all like, I hope they felt good about that and enjoyed it, you know? And I was just like, oh my God.
Well, you got people plotting. They're like, well, put some X-Lax in it. That'll teach you. I'm not wasting a lunch.
Yeah.
I'm trying to catch this person. There was one meme thing that I saw where somebody took somebody's lunch and then somebody left a note on the fridge.
Oh, yeah, and then there's all these notes going back and forth.
That was hilarious.
I saw one where they
Troll
were
level twin.
putting just some nasty stuff inside their food
Oh,
and leaving it for people
yeah.
to eat.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because somebody kept stealing
That's
their
why I
lunch,
like-
so they just started leaving.
So my
some
work has
nasty shit there.
cafeteria, so I'm like a cafeteria like freak. I go every day of the week, and I'm like, I don't ever have to worry about that.
Yeah, I mean
You know?
that's really me too. I probably should take my lunch more, but it would take me getting my lunch took one time before I just went off on the floor. I'm just dumping everybody, nobody going.
Not winning all that shit.
Like somebody gonna take my lunch, it's gonna be a problem. Like I'm not about to go tell.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Unplug in the fridge.
not where I'm from. I'm not about to go tell. Somebody took my lunch. No, we're gonna solve this mission.
Mhm.
I get a nanny cam in there. Something. It's going down.
All bad.
All bad.
Like I wonder where they take it to eat it.
Right?
You know
I
what
would
mean?
feel like
you
someone's gonna sneak and
Yeah.
fucking see
Go
me
in the
eating
bag.
their
Put
hot
in the
dogs.
bag.
I mean, you a gangster for it? I mean, so I would give you G points because like you are really gangster, especially if you can sit there and just eat it in front of
Ballsy.
in the break room.
Ballsy.
In the
in
break
the break room, just like.
And it's not like in the break room, like almost everybody eat at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
it's usually 3 break kind of shifts or whatever. So the chances of somebody bumping into you are decent. You know what I'm saying?
Are you being there when somebody realizes their food is gone?
Yeah.
It's like,
Like,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
like, man,
I gotta go back
Yeah.
there.
man, that's messed up, bro.
Hello?
Hey.
Oh, snap.
What up, man?
What's going on, man?
Fucking chilling, man.
Like, he's just walking
We
out.
were worried that you weren't gonna make it in, and Vonnie, he probably won't be able to hear you from. You probably have to sit a little bit sideways or whatever.
Okay.
What's going on, man? We
I can't
got
hear what the fuck you're saying.
we got V the Noble One in here, and Shar and Kathy.
Hey,
And-
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Fucking A.
Are you all right?
Hey, what's up, man?
What up, baby? Yeah, Supernatural.
You all right?
Well, man, yeah, I'm good. I'm on that stuff.
Fucking A's.
Hey, how about those Vikings, huh? You excited? Oh,
Oh.
wait.
Fuck up.
Came in blamming.
Yeah.
Came in busting
Sorry.
shots.
Fuck. Yeah, that's
Sorry,
not
I
good,
was
man. Yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about your Nightmarica album today, man. What do you think of that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a hell of an album, I'll tell you what. It's fucking recorded in, 3 days?
Yeah.
3 fucking days.
how many songs?
And I'll always remember that shit.
What the fuck? That's what's up, man. Yeah, fucking. You recorded most of that at your house too, right? In Eagle Butte.
A good chunk of it was at my house in my fucking basement, and then we went to. He brought me to Sioux Falls, and it was you, me, and Sinatra in the original Cat House Studios.
Ugh.
In Mike's
And
house.
Sinatra, in Mike's basement,
Yeah.
and Sinatra was constantly eating Subway sandwiches. Yeah, it was dope. It was dope.
That was good old days. The old cat house.
Yeah.
And it was called Cat House because he actually had like a gazillion cats.
But yeah, that's the you listen to that album. That's an anguished fucking youth thinking he's the shit.
You still don't?
And I am the shit, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Right on cue. Right on cue. I knew that was coming.
For some reason, they don't
Yeah,
pick
man.
up from where
Okay,
you're
so
Yeah,
I
you
gotta
just-
get
Yeah.
right in
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
How long had you been recording and making music and stuff before that album, man?
Fuck. Since I was 15, 16, I don't even know how old I was. How old was I when that album come out?
Shit,
Like
I don't even
20?
think you were 21 yet, because I remember we had like a big ass party when you turned 21 and could finally go into the fucking bars. You were like 19 or some shit like that.
I remember that.
Most people don't remember their 21st.
Yeah. No, we were in where were we at? I think we were in Bismarck or something for your 21st birthday.
Yeah, we were in Bismarck, and fucking Leona took me out. We went to Bucks,
Yeah.
and she fucking force-fed me like tequila shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was some wild shit. But yeah, no, since I was like 16, so a few years prior to the recording of that album, I was recording music, so.
How did that start? Like, how did you first discover hip hop and start, making your own music, and like, where did all that come from?
The first make my music, we fucking used to make pause tapes. I know a lot of kids probably don't even know what the fuck that is, but we used to make pause tapes. So there's, karaoke machine, 2 tape decks, and you fucking record on one.
Yeah.
And you fucking play like 2 seconds of a beat on the other one, and you do that for like 5 minutes till you have a beat. It was horrible. It was very dark times.
And you used to rap over that, or what?
And then after I would have the beat, there was like a karaoke machine that I was making the pause tapes on. Then I would fucking record, onto that beat on the karaoke machine. So yeah, it was a hassle. It was an ordeal. These fucking kids nowadays have no idea how easy they got it.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
But yeah. And then that just escalated. Then, I started looking into fucking, how can I make this easier? But and then I started finding like music programs and shit like that. So and then it just went from there. So.
And you would put out like that was like your if we were to get like technical into like the Maniac catalog, like that's probably like your 4th or 5th like actual album, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Something like that. Because I remember when I first met you, you had put out an album. I can't remember what it's called now, but fucking when we first did that first show together in Rapid City, you gave me an album. I think I was on it too. I can't remember.
That was the Siouxpernatural album.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I started taking on the name The Siouxpernatural, because at that time there was like fucking 9 other rappers. There were like 3 rappers in Unsigned Hype in the Source, all named Maniac. And there was like fucking a whole handful of other rappers named Maniac. So I was like, well, I gotta, distinguish myself from these assholes. So that's why I put Maniac The Siouxpernatural.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the CD I gave you, was The Siouxpernatural, because you had the original Cold World song on it.
Yeah.
And you wanted to re-record it or whatever, so I got re-recorded for the album.
Did we re-record that? Did Memory come down and re-record that shit in Cat House too, or?
She did, yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah. She came down and fucking Mike did his magic in there, and her fucking mind was just blown. We're just some fucking res kids, we don't know shit about being in real studios. We're used to recording in garages and basements, and when she recorded that shit, she was like fucking, her mind was blown, so it was pretty cool.
What is she up to? Does she still make music, or what?
What?
Does she still make music, or what does she do now?
I heard she was still trying to make music. She's DJ. She's like the head DJ now at KLMD Radio, I think, or one of the top DJs. And I actually spoke with her this past summer for the first time in like fucking 10 years. And yeah, she's still trying to do stuff or whatever, but I don't really know what's keeping her from doing it, but yeah, she's still DJing though, basically.
And that song was like all over the radio back in the day, huh? Like that's how.
That song was my Ride With Me to You.
Yeah, like Ride With Me and Cold War were like on the radio, like sort of at the same time or whatever, kinda.
Yeah, and that song, holy shit, man! I had no idea that song was gonna be as big as it was. Because you see, I heard Memory had a song with these 2 cats before I recorded. That's how I heard of Memory, and that song was alright. I mean, it's huge up in Standing Rock, and I'll probably get hate mail for saying it's only alright, but it was only alright. You know what I mean? I was like, well, fuck, this chick can sing her ass off. We can make a fucking better song than this. So I hit her up. she came to Eagle View. We did that song, and she's the one that put it on KLND, and then that shit blew up like a fucking nuclear bomb, and it was like, holy fuck. Now I can't fucking walk down the street without a motherfucker coming up to me and saying, hey, Cold World, blah, 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 you know, which is cool. It's cool, you know, that's what you want as a musician, as an artist. You want people to respect what you've done and know what you've done, but I can't stand that fucking shit now, man. Fucking hate it. I'd rather fucking rip out my own fucking eyes and chop my dick off than play a fucking shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you.
Drastic.
That's a very Maniac answer.
Yeah. That's how I feel with Ride With Me too, though, man. I 100% feel you on that, because I fucking hate that goddamn song, but that's the song that everybody fucking knows, so.
It's the song that made you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's the song that made me, and, you know, you don't want to hate it because it gave you a huge push, but, you know, it's still my song, so I can fucking hate it all I want.
It's like a love-hate relationship. Like, you gotta love, like, where that song got you to, but, like, I feel like as an artist I've progressed, like, 1,000 times past that. So it's like when people only know, like, what I consider, like, a terrible song on my part, then, like, you know, that's all they see you as, is this, you know, guy that can barely rap over a beat.
It makes you... It makes you feel kind of, and it also makes you feel like a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
It's like, really? You gonna fucking listen to this fucking song? I got like 10 albums after this song of dope, incredible fucking music, and you're only gonna talk about this song?
Right.
Like, it's fucking, like, Jesus Christ, you know? Fucking, I got other shit, you know what I mean?
Word.
I'm trying to think of what my hated song is.
Would be, what was the Ride, Nobleman Ride?
Oh, yeah, Ride Out.
Yeah, Ride Out, Ride
I
Out.
hate that song. That's what it is. My wife was just asking me about that the other day. It was on our maxi single. Ride Out. Oh, God.
Didn't you guys make the beat to that shit, too?
It makes on a 4-track Tascam. And it was it makes my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Actually, it makes my skin. That's one of those ones that just has to go away.
Yeah.
I'll pay money to scrub the neck. Whatever.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them.
When's the last time you listened to that album, Maniac, Nightmarica?
I just listened to it the other day because I knew you was gonna have me on here, and I wanted some stuff to talk about. And I was like, man, I was just a little shit kid, like, listening to my voice and shit. Like, listening to what I'm rapping about. And I was like, man, I was just a little fucking douchebag. I mean, I still am. But I was a younger one at that point. And I was like, man, hey, that album got some good shit on it, man. Like, that's actually the first time I listened to it in a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And that album's got some fucking cuts, man. Other than the Cold World, but they're like, the fucking track with Red Cloud.
Yeah.
I got a track with Tactile and Superman on that fucking song. And
Yeah.
just like, you know, it was just dope shit, man. It's just raw, like shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like raw.
Two other people that are in the room
underground
are on that
hip-hop.
album, too, you know.
Badass.
Yeah, there were some other people on that album, bro.
Fuck.
What?
I said there were some other people on that album.
Oh yeah, there was a certain Visa Noble one that went on to become a distinguished author.
Don't make it sound like I sold out, man.
That song, Rezzed Out, like, I think that was, like, a really groundbreaking song, because there was, like, so many people that, like, could relate to that song. It totally, like, encapsulated, like, the reservation, like, native experience for so many young kids or whatever, so I think whenever we used to perform that fucking song, like, people used to super love that one.
What song are you talking about?
God damn it. Rezzed Out. Rezzed Out.
Oh yeah, Rezzed Out. Fucking A. Fuck, that was just fucking life, man. That's still life right now. Jesus Christ, I just changed my tire the other day. I didn't have any gloves, so I put like 2 pairs of socks on my hands. Fucking changed the fucking tire, man.
That's a very Maniac game.
Yeah. I was at I was at Hoo Hut the other day, man. It's my favorite story to tell. was whenever that time back in the day when Lyric was still a baby in the car seat, and it was me and you and Jess, and went to Who Hut. Fucking Maniac gets a big plate, and like fucking they don't give like to-go boxes or whatever at fucking Who Hut. So Maniac gets pissed, and he has a stocking cap on, so he takes the stocking cap off, scrapes his plate into his stocking cap. and then we get home later on, and he fucking eats it. Fucking gross.
It's not a game. It's not
hungry, man.
a game. Not a game.
From the fucking res, baby. We don't fucking waste food. Shit, what the fuck kind of shit is that, man?
Man, it's one of my favorite stories.
I'll take everything. I'll take anything. I'll fucking put it in my shoe. I'll smoke cigarette butts off the fucking ground. I'll fucking do whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? This is the home of the have-nots. We have not. We don't fucking got anything. So if you got something, we're fucking taking it, regardless of if I gotta put it in my fucking hat. You know what I mean?
So there's that.
Yeah. So what else is going on, man? Are we ever gonna get another Maniac album?
It's sitting right here, man. There's about 2 of them sitting right here.
Yeah. Is it ever gonna come out?
I got the Temple of the Witch King album sitting here. I'm waiting on a verse, an 8-bar verse from a certain Sioux Falls Native American award-winning MC.
Oh yeah. Who's that?
Yeah, songs about Shoni Schimmel.
Oh yeah, fuck! I forgot all about that goddamn song. I'll get on that.
He's always talking about me.
Fucking. Actually, Hellenbach told me to ask you where the fuck his verse is for his song.
Oh yeah, I got his verse too. I just now recorded that shit the other day. I gotta get with him. But I think I've got the Axl Rose fucking shit going on. I don't like none of my shit. You know what I mean? I got the fucking Use Your Illusion fucking stuff going on. Like, listening to all these songs and all this new shit, and it's like, I don't fucking like it. You know what I mean? And if I don't like it, I don't want to put it out, but I don't know. I think that's just me being a fucking douchebag.
I think the next Maniac album is like the fucking native hip hop detox album.
Yeah.
It's just like never gonna come out. Like it's just legend.
Oh, yeah.
No, it'll fucking come out, man. I just gotta make it more fucked up. You know, it's not fucked up enough. Cause I'm fucking tired. Fucking everybody's on this. You know, ever since there's no DAPL shit, all these fucking Native American rappers are on this positive. You know, the shit they've always been on, basically.
Yeah.
This positive, native pride, blah, 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 blah. And I fucking hate that shit so much, you know what I mean, that I just want to fucking kill all those people that make that kind of music. You know, I fucking hate it. You know, I'm fucking Lakota all the way, you know, I'm fucking proud of who I am, but I ain't gonna make a whole fucking album rapping about it, you know what I mean? Like, rap about something else. So, in these fucking songs, I'm trying to rip these people apart because I can't stand these fucking native pride rappers. And that's just me. I think it's just a self-hating person who I am, you know what I mean?
That's very introspective.
Yeah. So what? So do you think 2018 there'll be a Maniac album?
I hope so. It's here. It's fucking here. Anybody listening who's wondering, the album is fucking done. Temple of the Witch King is fucking done. Well, except for a verse from some fucking asshole that never got any of the other verse.
Fuck. Alright.
But the Temple of the Witch King album is done. There's another album I'm working on that's almost done. Like, you know, I got stuff coming out eventually. It just I gotta force myself to put it out.
Word. Is there gonna be another Daywalkers?
Yeah, we got some songs. We got some fucking tracks already made. I think with F. Dukes and his personal life, and me with all my kids popping out around the same time, kind of set everything back. But yeah, Daywalkers are definitely gonna come out. Toe Tag Diaries album.
Word.
It'll be out at some point in life.
Word. So we're just gonna get like
And
a
I think
Maniac box set pretty soon.
thing that fucking set me back is having all these kids, man. You know, I see you fucking posting on Facebook like, oh, I think I want another kid. No. You fucking don't, man. You fucking don't, really. Trust me. Trust me as a Native American man, hip hop artist who fucking has too many fucking kids. I take care of all my kids. You know what I mean? It's not like I just, you know, knocked up some broad and I don't do shit. I take care of every one of my fucking kids. And I think that's what set me back. You don't want no more kids, man. Be happy with Lyric. Be happy that you have Lyric and only Lyric, you know. And be happy she's old enough to, like, go to the bathroom by herself, too. You ever try fucking potty training 3 fucking kids at the same time? Fucking ain't no joke, man. That ain't no joke. But yeah. Kill that. I need more kids noise, man. It's just not cool.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like a nightmare, man. I'm glad you're living it, not me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, fucking
Any y'all ever want some fucking baby wipes? Y'all ever need baby wipes? Y'all come hit me up, man.
It sound like you need them, bro.
Yeah.
I got too many, man. I get them by the caseload, man. I got too fucking many.
Word.
Oh, but hey, on another note, completely, this has nothing to do with anything, note. Y'all motherfuckers are posting all that meme about, you know, Blade being before fucking Black Panther, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all motherfuckers forgot about my man Shaq in the movie Steel.
Yeah, this is true.
That shit came out like a full fucking year before Blade.
Yeah, we need a Steel sequel, I think.
No, we good. We good.
Bring him into the DCEU or whatever the fuck that shit is.
Yeah.
Be all right.
Not hard pass. Nah, let's be good on
Hard
that
pass. Yeah. Fucking A's, man. Where can people find you online? Where can they find this madness?
They just gotta look for me, man. I ain't gonna put it out there. You wanna fucking find me, you come fucking find me.
Word. Any
I'm the fucking res, man.
Fucking res.
That's what's up. Fucking A. Any last words about your album Nightmarica and why people should check it out? Why do people consider it required listening for native hip hop?
I didn't know it was considered required listening. I thought that was the fucking album that people hated listening to because it was full of violence and cussing. But if it is required listening, well, that should be reason enough to fucking listen to the goddamn thing.
Well, remember, didn't Argus Leader name that like the album of the year in like 2005 or some shit like that, didn't they? Yeah, when Robert.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, Robert Morass. That motherfucker went hard for me, too. That guy was fucking dope as fuck, whatever happened to him. But, yeah, I don't know. It's the shit, like, it's fucking, that album is a fucking kid off the res, fucking don't got nothing, don't got no fucking money, no fucking anything, no connections, no nothing, you know, meeting up with someone who did have all the connections and everything and giving that kid a shot off the fucking res, living in fucking poverty and not having shit, and fucking giving him a shot to show, like, okay, you say you're a fucking dope MC? Show me why you're a fucking dope MC. And then, boom, that's what that fucking album is, pretty much. And that fucking album launched me into a fucking whole world where I never would have fucking been to, you know what I mean? I probably would have still been here fucking breaking in people's houses and shit. You know what I mean? But that album fucking, you know, it didn't skyrocket me to the top, but it was definitely a fucking footstool to get to the next level and to move on. And I would go on to fucking go all over the fucking world and all over and win awards and fucking get money and fuck groupie bitches and all this crazy shit. That's what that fucking album is. It's like showing a raw talent of what I had to fucking prove and what I had to say and blah, blah, blah. And that's all that is. So that would be reason some fucking kid off the street wants to fucking do this kind of shit. Well, listen to that fucking album, and that's how I did it.
Yo, Chesty says all your kids are gonna be rapping by the time you drop your next album.
More than likely.
It's possible.
I'll be producing them shits.
Fuck. I'm still waiting on that verse too, man, for the Hey Baby song. Whenever you get fucking time, man. Give me that shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, you're doing all that on your birthday weekend, ain't you?
Yeah. Well, I'm not in the studio that weekend, but we got the video shoot.
Oh, I thought you was, you fucking asshole. That's what I was waiting on.
Mike's got a big show, so because I tried to get in that fucking weekend, but I can't. Mike is performing at the Icon that night, so.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I can probably record it before then and set it down, but we'll be down there. I'll be down there with all my kids in tow on your birthday weekend.
Word.
Since you fucking want to have another kid so much, I'll let you babysit these kids for a weekend.
Word. That's what's good about Lyric, is she's old enough to babysit now, so she can take care of all that.
Fucking A. She's gonna have the time of her fucking life, too.
Alright, man. Well, fucking thanks for calling in, man. We appreciate you stopping by. We'll fucking talk to you later on. We're gonna play Cold World now. This is from Nightmerica. You can fucking pick it up on iTunes or anywhere fucking music is sold. Thank you guys for sticking with us on Facebook and YouTube and all that. Vonnie, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Appreciate it. And we will see you guys in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Go Patriots.
Go watch Black Panther.
No.
It's a cold world, baby. It's a cold world, baby. Yeah. Think about life, think about strife, oh yeah.
Every morning I wake up and think about life, think about strife, think about grabbing a knife. Cause it's a cold world that we live in today. Call out Yahweh, I don't think he hears me pray. Life with no positivity, just negativity. I hope you listening up quick and not just first wanna speak the dark side. Maniac, call it growing up on the res, living with alcoholics. It's drastic, I just had to switch up my tactic. At 12 years old, I was gripping automatic weapons to bust down anyone stepping. That's the way I used to live, now I can't get in heaven. 126.85, just to stay alive. We fired nines and got caught up in drive-bys. 100 miles in running, I can't complete the circle. Life on the reservation, it's just a cold world.
Gotta get away, just gotta get away. But it's a cold, cold world that we're living in. Gotta get away, just gotta get away. But it's a cold, cold world that we're living in.
Maybe I can find myself in a bottle of gin, but I can't take myself out this world of sin. Robbing houses and stores just to make paper. Kids on the reservation just ain't got no say. That's the way it is, and that's the way it continues. Other cats don't realize the pain we've been through. No one wants to try, no one wants to help us. Helpless men and women living in shelters. Kids growing up without fathers or mothers. Everybody's dying, sons, daughters, and brothers. What can I do? I'm just another cat living it. I took my life to rap and now all I'm doing is spitting. Can't even help myself, no one can be delivered. Just another lost cause from Cheyenne River. My sister said she wants to see the whole world. I told her right there, yo, it's a cold world.